What if I put it back?
Hello.
Buddy.
Hello.
He can replace me.
There's a little gray cube available right there. Squeeze him in.
We did.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
I
we
think.
did. Yeah.
What's this show?
Uh,
Hello, everybody.
Woo!
woo!
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
He is so
Cheers,
freaking old
Dana.
now. It's not even funny.
Yeah. I'm 44 today.
What is that? 82? 83?
Hey, say what?
Right? Ooh.
I see Greg T, you are muted. No one talking tonight? I can't hear anything.
There,
Uh,
now I'm not muted anymore. Yeah,
Great,
I started
great.
off the show already
Just
bad.
great.
That's
So,
good show.
let's
Everybody
rewind.
you could hear everybody else, but not me. I had my mic muted. Sorry.
Alright, so to recap, we have Dana as a guest. It's his birthday. Happy birthday. He's very old now. Rocky is back. He hasn't been here for a while, so he's back. He said hi. Take my word for it. And that was
Yes,
about
I didn't
it.
say much.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been a long day. I just got home from work like right before the show started, so
That's why he's
Oh,
representing Best Buy
we
again
are-
today.
Like, we got severely injured people, like Trina, just still here, diehard
Yep.
fans, just bleeding all over the couch, and still here watching Maciak. That's
And Greg can't even unmute the audio. That's
Hi, Mike.
and we
Hey,
got
Mike.
Mike here. So let me get Mike set up.
hey,
Sorry, I'm late.
that's okay.
you should be. How dare you?
Let's see.
Are we live?
Yes.
Yes,
Hold
Yeah,
on,
we are
Mike. I
indeed.
got to set you up.
Okay.
put your pants on. We're live.
No, I just wanted to know if I need to watch my language or not.
And we're getting reports. We're getting reports that there is no sound coming from you, GT.
No, still?
Oh,
That was-
No, they said it's fine.
that was what?
You're behind
good.
on the
There you
text
go.
chat there.
I'm way behind. I'm in Australia.
Here's.
But you're in the future. You should already know
Exactly.
this.
It's true.
He's it's already tomorrow there.
Oh,
Steve, you just need to have one of these things sitting next to you all the time, and then you can go cheers.
What are you guys talking about?
Mike, we need some light on you, man. You look like a ghost.
Dude, I'm
He's just
I'm
pulling a
stuck
rock.
in my bedroom.
And
All right, guys. So let's go ahead and
speaking
let's
of
go ahead and
that,
kick this show off. First off is we got some news and announcements. We have Apple just came out with some new hardware. They just put it out on the website. They actually have a new iPad Pro out, a new MacBook Air, and they have basically a bumped up Mac Mini. I think they bumped up
I am so glad.
the
that
Mac
I
Mini
didn't-
is
I didn't-
storage.
storage
only,
only.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe so.
I am so glad I didn't buy the new iPad Pro months ago. The iMad
Yeah.
Pro. Yeah.
PC.
I don't know if anybody's seen the new iPad Pro on there, but they have a case that makes it almost it levitates. They say so it doesn't like hit down on there. There's my cuckoo clock. So oh well, but it levitates up a little bit. So they're trying to make it look like their guess what? Their Mac or their Mac Pro display. You know, with that new stand, the $1,000 stand.
They actually called the damn thing a computer.
Yeah, they
Yes,
call
they
it.
did actually.
So, and we know Jay thinks it's not a computer. Technically, it's a computer, but it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
Everything's a computer if it's
They're
got
trying to make it
electronics in
behave
it.
like one.
Yeah, my washing machine's a computer, but I mean, yeah, the point
Exactly.
is that it has iOS on it. That's the main thing.
Yes. It doesn't run real apps that you need or real programs that you need. So
You can run Final Cut on it, I think.
if you have the iOS app to do it,
Exactly.
but there's
Well,
It's
there's
all
a
you need.
there's a lot of apps that
Why?
go a long way. I think Photoshop did a demo about a year ago. It looks really impressive. Illustrator, I think, has an iPad version, so it's a nice companion. But I
Yeah,
don't
and
think it
it's-
can replace a computer just quite yet.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's iMovie. I don't think there's Final Cut on there yet.
true.
I can't see a thing running Final Cut yet.
But
Yeah, I was about to say.
well, the new iPad Pro, I mean, from what they said, that the display is amazing, especially for the refresh rate and everything. I mean, that thing is getting better and better. And it also has trackpad and mouse support, which I have actually beta tested on my iPad, and it's okay, but it's still using a mouse on an iPad is stupid, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
but back in the jailbreak days, back in the old jailbreak days, like iPhone OS 3, you could do that. I had a jailbreak tweak that added a pointer, and you could just connect a mouse to it. And
Well, you know what their pointer is now? It's just a dot on the screen. It's like that's all it is. It's not a pointer. It's actually a dot.
wow,
Yeah.
Simulated finger.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what it
Simulated
is.
finger.
That's pretty much what it is. I have not figured out how to go backwards, forwards, all that stuff yet. You know, how to do other stuff, but I'm pretty sure that there's got to be, gestures for that because it actually
Oh,
links with the trackpad too. So who knows?
when's
But
the last time we had the entire Yak crew on a stream?
It's been a while.
been a while.
Yeah,
Been
This
a
is
long
nice.
while. Yes. Well, everybody's quarantined, so that's why.
I'm
Get
not
me outta
on
here.
Central.
Yeah.
Pretty damn weird if someone couldn't make it today.
Yeah. I almost didn't, depending on how fast I could get out of there tonight, since I had to close the store. So
How many
yeah.
red lights did you run?
None, actually. They were all green because there was no traffic because everybody's quarantined.
Yeah.
nice.
So
I find it impressive. Best Buy is still open for you.
yes, they changed hours. They're closing at 6 p.m. now every day. And next
Corona doesn't wake up until 6:30.
Yeah, and next week we're going to a limited customers in the store and basically letting people do curbside pickup. So you can order it online and you pick it up at the curb.
Curbside drop off. This PC don't work. Ugh.
Heck, I do this anyway.
Luckily, you guys aren't in Pennsylvania because as of 8 o'clock tonight, all non-life sustaining businesses are required to close. And starting Saturday, they are going to enforce it.
Yeah,
Same
they've
thing in New
basically
Jersey.
already done that in West Virginia.
Sounds like
More or
let
less.
me think of that word. What's that word? Fascism?
Let's get to some Mac
Yes,
topics,
all right.
shall we?
So we talked about the new iPad Pro. The new MacBook Air actually has I saw the specs on it. Has an i7 in it, which is
Yeah, 1
Yeah.
gigahertz.
yeah.
That
It's
is
kind of
interesting,
slowed
yes.
down.
0.2.
Yeah, you're right. It's slowed down. I'm wondering if it still actually has a fan in there or not, because I know the MacBook Airs had fans in them before, but
They didn't
Be
blow
the
on anything.
smallest fan known
yeah,
to man, I think.
pretty much.
I'm pretty sure it's something that iFixit will get their hands on in the next. Well, maybe now with all the delivery madness, might take a while before we see a teardown.
They'll probably already have it up, believe it or not.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hmm.
And then the last thing is the Mac Mini. They bumped up the storage on it, basically because guess what? The storage is soldered onto it, so you can't add internal storage at all to it. So bumping it up is a good thing. However, it still has the T2 chip in it, and if you try to boot it externally, from what I understand, it doesn't work. So I don't know.
I think they just made the built-in storage is cheaper now, or they doubled it, whatever it was. But I mean, I'm all for Apple doing that because whenever they do their SSD storage, it's always overpriced anyway.
But it's
so any discount you're
but
gonna
it's
get.
still soldered on, which
Oh,
Yeah.
no, that's terrible. I'm not saying it isn't, but if you're gonna make it cheaper, might as well do something with the Mac Mini while it collects dust over there on the
True.
store.
You know what
Yeah.
they did not announce in any of these new products? Liquid proofing.
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
This
You
is
spill
Apple,
one
they
drop
can't do
of
that.
liquid in the wrong place, and your air is still
But the
there.
iPhones are still liquid proof, but they should, like Jay said, they should liquid proof all that stuff.
Resistant.
They're
Liquid
resistant.
resistant.
No, actually, you could actually
They are not.
you could
proof.
actually take them swimming now, and
Yeah, but they still advertise.
Yeah,
it as
read.
Yeah, I
resistant.
know.
Yeah, read the fine print.
I mean, I'm not gonna do that, but
Yeah.
you know.
They're like, by all means, please go
Um,
swimming with it. So it has to be
yeah.
replaced.
Exactly.
All right, the next bit of news we got is France fines Apple 1.1 billion euros for anti-competitive behavior. That's actually a big slap on the wrist there.
Oh yeah.
What is that in dollars, by the way? Anybody got a converter real quick?
Ask Siri. I'm
I
not
think it
doing
was-
it.
Probably about two.
No, I think it was about. I vaguely remember it's like about 1.2 or 1.3 or
Billion?
something like that.
Yeah.
I think that was, yeah.
Yeah, the difference isn't as big as it
Yeah.
used to be.
Oh yeah,
But
because of
still,
economy
$1
and stuff.
billion. Now,
That's 1.17.
let's
Yeah.
take a little poll
Wow.
here. Who thinks that Apple's actually going to pay that?
Yeah,
Nobody's
right.
saying
Good
anything.
luck.
They
Who
they
thinks
pay their
Apple's gonna
lawyers
fight it?
well.
No.
Yeah.
I'm a,
Listen, that kind of stuff for a company like Apple, it's a tax write-off.
but
they don't
but
care.
I'm willing to bet you they're going to fight it. They're going to
Oh,
yeah, they're going to appeal it.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why I'm thinking they're not going to pay that. Just because France says, "Hey, you're going to pay this," no. I haven't read the article of what it's going to, why they're doing it. What does anybody know the reason why they fined them?
I think it was apparently a lot of sort of people that were selling products were all getting together and agreeing to particular
Yeah,
prices.
they were
you know,
price
so,
fixing. Yeah.
so it's collusion essentially. I mean, you know, it's you know, they instead of them actually just setting prices and competing with each other, they all got together and said, "This is the price we're going to set."
Yeah, I believe it was for components like the screens and the cables and hard disks and stuff
Oh,
like
okay.
that they were sort of agreeing with LG or Samsung or whoever, saying, well, you know what, this is what the price is going to be, and yeah,
They should get fined like this for every country outside of America, because the prices are they're gouging, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And I mentioned this before. I don't even think they sell it anymore, but the extended aluminum keyboard, right? The one currently being sold, I think, $129. That exact same keyboard is 129 euros over there. Like, that's a big difference.
That's a huge
It's not
difference.
that much is what we
Well,
just.
it was.
It's not
It's a big
today,
enough difference
but
Yeah.
considering what
trust
it
me,
is.
that was a $50
Yeah.
difference not
Well,
long ago.
then you got the
No.
the knockoff companies that can make the same exact keyboard look exactly identical and sell it for $50.
Logitech makes a very good solar
Yeah.
card one.
I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, it's not illegal for anyone to set high prices. Anyone's allowed to do that. They can, you know, charge whatever they want. It's only the only time it actually becomes illegal is if they all get together and, you know, agree to raise
So-
prices. But that's so hard to
But here's the
prove.
question:
I mean, it's
then,
so hard
did
to
they
prove that
slap the fine
that's what
on
they're
these
doing.
other companies as well?
Hopefully.
Don't know.
You know, because
yeah, Apple's probably the only one that's making the headline, but I'm sure others are
I'm
involved
hoping
as well.
so. You know that that would work.
And I thought the price fixing was to do with the reason they hit Apple first is because Apple was doing it between them and their like authorized partners or whatnot, that they were telling them, like companies that could sell Apple products, they were saying you have to sell them for this and everybody has to sell at the same price.
Yeah.
I thought was part of it as well.
I thought it was part also the
Conspired with distributors of gadgets to fix prices and limit competition. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they fight it and then get billed.
Get double the
Even
fine.
bigger.
yeah. All right, guys. So that's all we got for news announcements. Unless anybody else has got anything that we didn't put in the document here.
Nope.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think
There's
so.
a shortage of iPhones.
Oh, the only other thing I think is cool is the stand you mentioned for the iPad. Did we talk about the trackpad and the keyboard that they're coming out with that too?
Oh yeah. That's neat.
Which
Yeah, I think it was pretty.
I mean,
neat.
having
Speaking of that,
having a trackpad
Yeah.
or having a keyboard is one thing, but a trackpad on an iPad is, to me,
It's
is ridiculous. When it's running iOS, iOS is a touch-based operating system. If it was Mac OS running on there, I could see it having a keyboard and a mouse.
You know,
I'm more excited about them putting a touch screen on their laptop than putting a trackpad on their tablet.
you know what I think that everyone, the users of this trackpad will be with that, that laptop style case and the keyboard and the trackpad. It's going to be everybody who's like an IT person who needs to do remote desktop. That's going to be the use case for this. They're going to be using a trackpad and a keyboard. They could do remote desktop to Windows and Mac and Linux machines using the iPad. I think that's going to be like the killer app for it. But until Apple proves us otherwise, I think it's neat. But it's like $300, $400, $500 for this trackpad, depending on the size you get. It's a steep price. By the price of it, I was thinking that the keys had little like screens on them to change the language of the keys on the keyboard, because it said something in the description of like, oh, it's available in so many languages. I'm like, oh wow, that explains why it's expensive. I'm like, oh wait, no, they're just regular keys. Thank you, Apple.
It's just Apple.
It's Apple being Apple. So, all right. So let's go ahead and move on to our first topic of the evening here. Is storing your apples. Long-term storage on hardware. How do you pack, wrap, box up, store your Apple hardware? And do you care about its environment once stored? Now, we have pretty much an expert on storage in here, a couple of them actually. The first one would be Steve, because you have a bunch of shelves and stuff in your basement that you store everything, right?
I'll tell you how not to store things.
Yeah, just ask your iMac G4.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It just has a little Band-Aid on it. No, yeah, I mean, for long-term storage, obviously you want to get that battery out of there. So the clock battery, the PRAM battery, whatever you want to call it, especially on the older models. I don't think the new ones have them in there anymore. Or if they do, they're probably less prone to leakage. But any of the vintage Macintosh machines, let's say the 68K or the PowerPC ones, or even the early Intel ones, you want to get that battery out of there. You're storing it for long-term storage in an attic, garage, even in your basement, somewhere where the temperature doesn't fluctuate. That battery's probably not a good idea sitting in there. As far as like where you could store things, I've have people that store things in their garage and their attic. It depends on your climate and where you're located in the world. If things get very hot and humid, or things stay dry and relatively calm the whole year round, it's a different story. I had for years most of my machines in the garage, and I don't think that really hurt them too much, but it probably didn't help. And the same goes for the attic. I know our attic, it's very, very hot. There's no real ventilation in there except a fan that's probably about this big. So I'm sort of not too keen to store some things up there. I'll put some old monitors or things that I know I'm not going to touch, or some parts that are just cases or stuff like that. But I prefer to store anything that I have that I think is valuable, or I cherish indoors in a temperature controlled room. Even if the basement gets to be 60, 64 degrees, something like that, it's better than being in a freezing cold attic or a garage that could dip into the 40s or 50s quite easily. But that's just speaking from my experience on the East Coast. We have some fluctuating weather. And just be careful the way you store these things. I don't have the original boxes to a lot of this stuff.
And I'm gonna sit there and agree with you on the fluctuating weather, because you guys over here on the East Coast, but now that I'm over here, I've noticed that the weather is just wonky. Today we were at 71 degrees today. Tomorrow it's going to be probably freezing.
Yeah. So what I would warn against also is, everything has an LCD screen on it these days. Put a little cover, a pillowcase, wrap it in bubble wrap. I had, as the guys were pointing out, an iMac G4. I put it on the shelf, and those screens on the stands, they tend to sag a little bit, depending on how old they are and how good that mechanism is. And mine just slowly decided to go boop like right against something, and the screen got a crack right in the center of it. So you just want to make sure if you're storing these things, you're going through the trouble of them. Just make sure they're nice and.
I think Steve is tongue tied tonight, so.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it
the
sounds
next
like-
person I know of that has a lot of Macs, and I was going to say Grudy, but he doesn't store his stuff. He just puts his stuff in a room.
Yeah, but I can explain what I'm trying to do.
Greg just throws it in a corner.
Yeah, but I can explain what I try to do.
Avoid stepping on them.
And that's one of the things.
See, guys, Grudy has before. If you ever saw his place before he moved, he used to keep everything in his dining room, everything. I don't think he had enough room to walk around in there. So now he has a bigger house and more rooms, and he still keeps everything where you can't walk around.
Well, part of it's
Never ending
because of
cycle.
Dad's garbage that I can't sift through yet. But
There's going to be more Macs to trip over. Don't worry.
my biggest tip is just keep it in a cool, dark place, like in a basement or something like that. Try to keep
Like
them
a
dry.
fine wine, so it can gain more vintage,
Yeah, exactly. Like a fine wine.
so it can
Make
mature.
sure the temperatures don't fluctuate a lot because the plastics tend to get brittle on some of the older Macs, like the beige ones. It turns into glass over the years. Or like on a Wall Street, it also turns into glass over the years and will break very easily if it keeps fluctuating between hot and cold.
Yeah. Well,
Plus, yellowing doesn't help on beige
Yep.
ones.
I was going to go with Jay next because Jay does have a lot of storage that he's storing other people's Macs. So Jay.
Exactly.
I'm less concerned with physical damage because of the way I store them. I currently have enough space to keep stuff neatly stacked or separated from each other. I worry about humidity. My basement being my basement, So I wrap everything. I have a box full of those little silica packets.
Mhm.
I toss a few in there. If it's a G5, I put them in. G4, I put them in. Parts and power supplies, I just tape a packet to it to make sure that whatever humidity is there is absorbed by those packets and not, the Macs or parts themselves. Then I wrap it in a plastic bag, tape it up, and just stick it on a shelf. That's about the extent of it. I don't do much with bubble wrap or boxes, things like that. So, unless I have to
Yeah.
move them.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really store anything in boxes. I think I have one or two that might have the box, but I think the machine's outside of it.
I mean, that's pretty much the three biggest collectors now. Bruce, do you have a big collection?
Reasonable size. Yeah. I try and keep the majority of the stuff in the house if I can, but I've got very limited space here, and basements really aren't a big thing here in Australia. I have no choice but to keep some of my collection in an outdoor shed where humidity is a huge problem here, sort of in Sydney, and sort of not necessarily during drought time, but when it's sort of normal weather here, humidity is a big issue. And if I were to put a normal computer out in a shed and just put it on a shelf in a shed, I would say within a matter of months it would be covered in rust. And
pigeons.
And pigeons. So, I mean, what I generally do is, obviously this isn't going to work if we're talking about a G5 or something like that, but if we're talking about a sort of a smaller sort of 64K or early PowerPC Mac or something like that, I generally buy those great big plastic crates, the ones that you can just sort of buy for a few dollars, and sometimes they have little wheels on the bottom. I pop the computers in there and drop in a couple of bags of the silica gel, seal them up, and that works really well. I've found that when I do that, the computers are as pretty much as good as storing them in sort of indoors. I think the air inside the crate is probably a little bit more regulated by being in the plastic container, and then obviously the silica gel helps keep the moisture out, and that works really, really well. for sort of for keeping that moisture out and making them last a lot longer. I did actually have a situation where I had some computers stored out in the shed, and I could just basically see them deteriorating. The moment I put them into a crate, it was sort of a complete change. It was like they were being stored inside. So for anyone who only has that as an option outdoors, as
what is okay? I have to ask a question. What is that little icon you just put there, Steve? Because that looks.
That's a nose.
Okay. It
nose.
looks like something different on my screen, but we'll.
Well, we're talking about the smelly iBook keyboards.
Okay.
So a nose is a good fit there. Anyway, Bruce, please continue.
So, the only other thing I wanted to mention was this was an interesting thing where I had someone contact me once saying that he was storing a Mac 2CI, I think it was, at his parents' place. And he knew it still had the battery in it, and he was just freaking out about it, saying, what am I going to do? I can't get over there. And I remember sort of saying to him, oh, look, can they take the battery out? And he's like, oh, no, they're not technical. They wouldn't know how to do it. So they'd have to take the lid off and all that sort of stuff. And I gave him a recommendation. I don't know how well it worked. I didn't end up having any follow-up with this, but I said, just get the computer and turn it upside down on the shelf. So at least if the battery does leak, it's going to leak down on the case rather than leaking on the board. I don't know if that would have made a difference, but under that circumstance, I think it was probably better than doing nothing. And that was something that was just an easy instruction to say to the parent, hey, can you just get that thing and turn it upside down on the shelf?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I remember I did a live stream after I got a Quadra 800. These guys will remember it. As I'm taking the battery out, you could just see it was just separating already, the little lid from it. And I took that machine apart recently when we were messing around with a machine, and I think I sent a picture to the chat. And I actually noticed that a very tiny bit of rust leaked onto one of the RAM modules, not rust, the gunk from the battery, leaked on top of one of the memory modules, and was just like making itself known. Nothing horrible, so I was able to clean it up. But yeah, that's a very good point, Bruce. Make sure gravity is working in your favor if you can't remove those batteries.
Let's see. Rocky's not there, so we'll go over to Dana. How about your collection?
I have mine's kind of split right now between an upstairs bedroom and the downstairs utility room, but both are pretty reasonably temperature controlled, so not a lot of humidity to deal with. The upstairs bedroom has a laminate floor, so there's not a lot of dust or like I said, humidity, moisture of any kind. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty satisfied with the situation I've got right now. But yeah, definitely humidity. You want to avoid that. You don't want, especially if you have a place that's kind of dark and musty, and a lot of bugs can be attracted to it, because then you get bugs inside there, and then they build webs or nests or whatever whatever they want to put inside your computer. And then of course that can attract moisture as well, especially if it's sitting right on a component. So yeah, you want to keep your environment pretty clean and humidity free and pretty temperature controlled.
And I think I have to agree with Jay when he wraps his stuff up like that, because you also got to remember rats love to chew on cables and stuff like that. So
if you got rats in your house, you got
problems. I mean mice, rats, whatever. They love chewing on that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because I stored a bunch of Macs in my parents' garage for probably 10 years or so, and before bringing them here, and they were on the East Coast, and they got a lot of cold or hot weather. Anyway, I opened up the 2SI, and there was rat poop, mouse poop rather, all over it. You got me talking about rats. Mouse poop all over the board, and I'm like, how the heck did anybody get inside of this? The floppy drive is the only port that's open.
Yeah.
They fling it.
Yeah, I really don't know how that happened. There's no Nubis covers off or anything. I'm like, these mice are crafty.
I had a box of Cat 5 cables stored out in a shed once, and I mean, I sort of went to go grab that once, and that was just gnawed through through it. I mean, it's like they'd gone gnawed through the box, and then they'd gnawed through all the cables in there. They must have been hungry.
It makes you wonder what attracts them to that stuff.
Yeah,
no
it does.
Yeah,
I think they're just assholes.
Yeah, definitely. If you are storing in an area where you're going to get sort of mice or rats, great big rats, then you definitely want to sort of put them into a like, as I say, like a crate or something sealed up that they can't get into.
I know the case with a lot of rodents is that their teeth in the front never stop growing, and so they're constantly chewing on
To
things,
grind them down, yeah.
to either use it for bedding or part of their nest or just for the heck of it. So
Yeah, I have a bunch of PC towers. I don't know why they didn't just go for that stuff. They had to attack my map.
Well, we know.
Well, even mice.
even mice
I was
have
gonna say
taste.
we know.
You got
We know
classy mice.
Steve has mice because he actually kept a camera on him for a while. So it was the mouse cam.
What happened to mouse cam?
I don't have any mice upstairs anymore. So
Yeah,
we found where
that's
they were
good.
coming in, and we patched it up.
Yep.
that was
If I
fun.
hear any switch scratching, I'll let you know. But I was in this room and I just heard something upstairs. I'm like, uh-oh.
All right, and Rocky, how about your collection? What do you do to store your stuff?
Whether it be inside or outside, the bulk of what I do, if it is going outside, I do agree with putting silica packets in there and stuff. But all my valuable ones, I wrap in a big, like those 3mm commercial trash bags, and I put them in that, and I wrap them up so that way. What it does is it keeps out critters, other things, and it also keeps them from getting dust and and then if there's any potential, I live out in the middle of nowhere, so there's always the potential that moisture could somehow find its way around it, and then that way I don't have to worry about them. But that's the bulk of what I do. And then more delicate ones, I will put some type of padding around the exterior of them, but that's about it. Or on monitors and displays and laptops, I will take saran wrap and I will put it on the screen itself, so that way it doesn't get scratched or wear from just sitting or pressure or anything like that. And then that way when I take it out, the screen's always fresh. So
Yep.
it helps.
Now, for myself, I don't have anything out in storage. Everything's in this room right here that I have. I mean, a lot of the stuff I have a bunch of laptops. I have a G5 that I actually use for gaming. I have a couple of iMacs. Then my Mac Pro, of course. Then I have a iMac G3. The only thing I have in my closet is an iMac G3. That's the only.
How did this topic become show off my?
No, I'm just saying. I'm not storing them like you guys are. I just have everything stored in this room. So
Well, I want to hear from Mike.
he's asleep.
We all do.
Nobody's hearing that.
One thing I also just thought I would mention is for anyone who is a collector of the vintage Macs, if they have a titanium power book, put a bit of tissue paper between the LCD and the
Oh, that's a
keyboard
good
when you close
idea.
them and store them, because if they're closed and stored and kept that way, you'll often find when you open them up, they end up with like little marks on the screen from the
Yep.
keyboard.
Same with the clamshell iBooks.
Yeah, that's why I put that layer of saran wrap. It takes the heat of that kind of damage. It'll protect it.
Yep.
I use sometimes like that real thin sheet of foam that sometimes comes with parts or something you buy, and I'll maybe cut that down to the size of the screen and put it in there.
Yeah.
Because they don't absorb much moisture at all. So that's worked for me in the past.
Cool.
Okay.
I think that about
Yeah.
covers it. We'll let you know what Mike's answer was after he waits.
He's muted.
Yeah,
He
Rocky
can't even
just
hear
held
us.
No,
Yeah,
he can hear us. He just can't talk because he's muted.
Well, I know where he stores his things, so I'll let him explain.
I just heard him talk.
Yeah. See, now he's trying to talk, so let him. Oh, I think you're
Mike,
muted on Skype. There.
Unmute yourself, man.
There you go.
Well, who muted me?
We did because you started snoring.
I didn't do it.
Well, you were talking all kinds of nastiness in your sleep, so we muted you.
Ah, funny.
Any tips for storing your Macs, Mike?
Yeah, I stored it at his house.
Yeah, I
Well
think
done.
I think Mike is in awe of Steve's collection there.
Store.
I'm in awe
I
of
don't
Mike's
just-
collection of fans.
Have
It's
you
not mine.
have you
Sorry,
have
go
you actually seen Steve's collection? I mean, it's just
Yeah, he did a tour on Patreon, a
It-
partial tour.
It's kind of hard to describe. I wouldn't say awe would be the word. More like
How many can I
what would
get
be the
away with?
adjective for it?
More like, oh, I have to go and step around all these CRTs on the floor.
More like, am I going to freaking die?
No,
Or-
no, that only happens if you pull the bottom
wait,
machine
that,
out.
That processor, Yoshi, is at the bottom of that pile there. That's 16 feet high.
Go ahead, help yourself.
No, I don't do anything special. I put everything. I have everything on shelves. Unfortunately, I don't have any climate control right now, but all of my laptops are at home. I keep the laptops home, but everything else is in storage right now. So, but that wasn't always the case. I used to have a nice carpeted place that had some semblance of climate control, but now it's a big hole in the ground. So,
I got to visit before it was a hole in the ground.
Yep.
but they're but they're. I mean, I keep them dry. They're in a storage locker right now. I mean, I have all my laptops at home, and my iMac G5 is at home. That will never leave the house unless it goes to one of unless it's going on show or something. But
Yep.
just make sure you take the batteries out of everything. Just like mostly what you guys already said. I mean, I don't do
How
anything
do you
special.
know what we said?
You were asleep.
He's conscious.
Was I snoring?
A little bit.
No.
Okay.
I'll jot it down.
Yeah.
I need to know, why does your whiteboard say "Kill Todd"?
Oh, that's my friend
Yeah.
Todd. Every year it's his birthday. I write "Kill Todd" and I take a picture of it.
Okay.
It's been going on for like
Yeah.
10 plus years.
How
There's a
did you see
Facebook
that? I
post.
can't even see that.
Yeah, I
That's
was
what I took-
going to ask that earlier. I was like,
That's why I took down my tax returns. Hey Todd, how you doing? Happy birthday!
All right, guys. So we need to move on to our next topic here. Next topic is what non-Apple hardware are people using that really complements their Apple setup?
Puck.
We're not talking. Yeah, we're not talking about graphics cards. We're thinking more about peripherals and the like, stuff like that. I'm going to start it off with, and I've showed this guys in the past, is this mouse right here, the vertical mouse. I think this is one of the best things I ever invested in, and thanks to Jay for putting me onto this. So it actually has helped my wrist. It's not hurting as much anymore from using the regular mouse, but I used to use a Logitech mouse before. I still hate using those crappy Magic Mice. They just suck, and I just refuse to use them. So let's go around the horn here. Let's go with Grudy here. What's your favorite non-Apple?
non-Apple would have to be my gaming mice. Usually a Corsair mouse, like this broken one right here that won't stop blinking. But usually a Corsair gaming mouse because they feel the best. But I have some EVGA ones too, and it helps me edit videos and stuff easier. And it's a lot more intuitive in my opinion and more comfortable than a crappy Apple mouse.
Yeah.
And then I have other things like the webcam, this Logitech mouse, camera and stuff, which really helps with my setup, and it's got a pretty good mic on it too.
Yep.
So
Okay, Bruce, you're next. What?
Well, I mean, look, I'm pretty much the same. This is interesting. I actually suggested this topic, but I was more interested in what other people had to say about it than talking about it myself. But I mean, I'm the same. I mean, I use a Logitech mouse, and I'm actually just looking at the chat here and seeing that sort of a lot of the people that are commenting on that, it does seem to be input devices, whether it be keyboard or mouse or both. Someone sort of mentioned sort of soundbar, that sort of thing, and I guess that I'd be interested in whatever sort of people watching at the moment, if they just want to jump into the chat and mention what they also consider to be their favourite sort of non-Apple sort of device or peripheral that helps complement their Apple setup. But I mean, look, for me it would be either be the sort of the mouse or sort of like external storage cases, or that sort of, or like a NAS or something like that.
Well,
those
when we come back around again, I got a lot more things that I could add to that. But Next will be Rocky. What is your favorite non-Apple? And we know you have a lot of non-Apple stuff. Come on.
Well, but a lot of it does complement the Apple. I mean, anybody that has like a Mac Pro will understand, or a Mac Mini, that non-Apple monitors. That's one of my big ones. I've got Apple monitors, but honestly, my primary, most favorite monitor is not Apple. And then I have obviously non-Apple keyboard and mice because I like the way they feel. So.
Do they have water?
And-
Do they have water in them?
No, this is the one that did get wet that
I
day.
know,
It's
I
still fun.
recognized it.
Yeah. Let's see. Dana, how about you?
Right now, pretty much everything I have is Apple. Even my keyboard, I have an aluminum little slimline. One of those. Well, I don't know what they call it, but
God, I
Okay.
hate those keyboards.
I don't mind it really. I thought I would hate it, and the more I've typed on it, it doesn't really bother me. I do need a wrist rest because it's so low to
That's
the table.
probably
but,
the reason why I hate it the most, because like you just said, it sits low.
Yeah, it's totally a matter of preference. I thought I was
It's not
going
a
to hate
problem if you type like this.
I use them. I don't mind.
The major non-Apple peripheral I have is also a vertical mouse, and I can't get the cable to reach to the camera, but it's a JTech Digital. It's really nice. It feels great in your hand. And my wrist does not hurt anymore. I was having all kinds of problems.
No
with-
wires. See, wireless.
on here, and this one's wired. It's not wireless, but I've never been a fan of wireless mice anyway. And then my other non-Apple peripheral is a Epson Perfection 4490 scanner. So
Okay. Mike, how
Right
about
now.
you?
Me?
Yeah, you, Mike, Eep.
Yeah.
I thought you were going
I
around.
am.
You
I
were
am.
saying. Oh,
A
It's
swirl.
a swirl.
I got two. Well, I got three. I have a really nice set of creative speakers on my Pro, which unfortunately I can't show you right now. That actually match the aesthetic of the entire computer. So
Damn, who's booting?
okay, so booty.
it bonged.
Yeah, sorry, it's my phone starting up.
So I have this lap desk that I got at the thrift store. I'm telling you, this is like the best purchase I ever made for my MacBook Pro because that thing gets hot,
Yep.
burning your legs hot.
Yep.
Jay will tell you it gets hot. I tell you what, I got this thing. The temperatures of my MacBook Pro dropped like 20 degrees because it can air circulate around the whole thing. It's got little rubber feet on it, so it sits up just enough to keep air going around it. So, and then the other thing is my favorite is these Aventry Audition headphones that I use on every call because the noise canceling on these things is freaking awesome. And now they're Bluetooth, but I can also hook a wire up to them
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah, but you may not
They're-
be able to hear your cats. We can.
Oh, it's fine.
you're just going to have to live. And then my last favorite addition is this thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, if we have to hear your dogs, Rudy, we get to hear his
That's
cats.
right. His cats are much quieter.
I'm locked in the bedroom. You shouldn't hear any of the
Yeah.
cats. Lydia might growl or hiss here and there, but that's about it.
Let's go with Jay here. How about you? What's your favorite?
I have 4.
Okay, name all 4.
First and foremost, I would not be able to function without my Harman Kardon sound sticks. Without
Oh, yes.
proper audio, my life is a mess. I need
Yeah, but
good sound.
when you think about it, that's sort of an Apple thing because they
No, it
designed.
really isn't.
It's not.
Ah,
Just because Apple sells them
Shut
in their
down.
store.
Let me look for the Apple logo or the Apple brand. Nope, sorry, Harman Kardon. So that's one. The second would be my vertical mouse. The third, and this is not one that I personally use, but I gave it to my wife. She has an iMac. It's a little hub that plugs into the back of your iMac
Yes.
and
I
projects.
had
the-
I had
Oh,
one of
yeah.
those. Yeah, those are awesome.
That Apple didn't think of that is just.
Yeah.
yeah.
And finally, well, two more really.
Go for it.
One is my external hard drive dock. I swap hard drives out of this thing
Yeah.
all day long, and of course
Is that one like a toaster sort of thing? When
Yeah.
you put the hard drive in like a piece of toast? Yeah.
Yep, and it has its own fan, so when I'm doing data recovery or something with it, it keeps the drive nice and cool. And well, we said PCI cards was not in the list, but extending my USB 3 out is a nice big juicy USB hub on my desk, which is full. It's 10 ports and it's full, so I need another one. So, that's about it.
Well, I thought I was bad. I had 5 ports and it was full.
All right, and Steve.
So I have a few. I have the microphone that I'm using now. This is a Blue Yeti microphone.
Nice.
And I enjoy. What?
It's not blue.
No, it's not. You could buy them in blue, but a friend of mine actually gifted this to me. They were not using it, and they knew I was looking for a microphone, so that's how I got this. So happy to have that. The second
So if
one.
you win David Stahl's microphone, will you give it to me?
Sure. And then this is a drawing tablet. So this is a huge one. I got this after high school. It's a 12 by 12 tablet. I love this thing.
Pretty big.
Unfortunately, it's I think the biggest one they make or close to it. Has a big case because how else are you going to keep it all together? But it has a pen and everything, and I have the pen and little holder here. And I use this for drawing or for sketching or anything like that. Anything where I want to have a precision, rather than the mouse, is handy. And trying to think of the third one. I guess it's a tie between. I use some different displays. Usually I'm using the Apple 30-inch display, but I have the feeling it's sort of on its last legs here. I brought home my monitor from work, which is this Dell 27-inch monitor, which is super bright and same resolution as a 30-inch. But so I'm using that now, which is why it's reflecting so much light at me. And doesn't give me nearly as much burn-in as the Apple display does. But the other one I would have to say is my Synology network attached storage system. I put a lot of stuff on that. I like the little interface and the OS it runs. Mine's outdated, but I would have no problems with buying another one if I had to.
Cool. Well, I have a few.
And the comments are
Yeah, I have a few
plentiful.
more
A
because
lot
I
of
only said
comments.
one at the time, but I did have more than.
You had to talk, dude. Sorry.
But hey, I can mute everybody except for me. But you know.
That'd be a short show.
No, but like Jay said, sound is a good thing, and I have a pair of Bose speakers on my Mac Pro here that sound just awesome. But also, I have my monitor, like Rocky was saying, his non-Apple monitor. I have a Samsung ultra wide screen monitor here. It's a 49-inch across monitor. So basically, I look from one side to the other. I have to actually turn my head to see the whole monitor. So, but it's curved as well, and I really like this monitor. And the last thing that I have that complements my Mac Pro is my racing wheel and racing pedals setup for my iRacing setup. So that right there is something that I definitely like to have on here.
I
I'm just
I
gonna
forgot
add-
What'd you forget?
Go ahead.
my chair. Dude.
That too, yes.
Yeah.
My chair. Yeah.
Christian made a comment
Does
earlier.
that
Yes,
count?
it does. It
Chairs, chairs absolutely count.
Yes.
Like good back support.
Yeah.
Mesh everywhere so you don't sweat your back off. And yeah, I need.
Your
I
back
need to-
off.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something else.
What about your headset, Jay?
No, I don't care about my headset.
Okay.
I actually now that I've actually had a chance for everyone
Go
else to
for
go
it.
around, I've actually thought of.
No, go for it.
Okay. So very quickly, there are just basically three, and one of them is the same as Steve. I've got a Synology NAS that I use for Time Machine backups and stuff like that, and I agree. I think it's a great little interface. The thing just works in the background. I've had no complaints with it at all, so I think that's a great little thing. So that's one. The other is, of course, my Rode Podcaster USB microphone. I love this thing. The sound on this is absolutely brilliant. And then, of course, the webcam. I'm using a Logitech C922 webcam, and I've been really, really happy with that one as well. So
There you go.
Yeah, I like mine until it doesn't focus.
Too bad we never hear this microphone in the live streams.
this one,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because I'm always live streaming. You do hear it today, though.
Yeah.
And I busted
I
cable.
just want to.
Welcome to Maciac.
If I had to pick an Apple thing I'd like, it's these old Apple
can't pick an
design
Apple thing.
speakers.
No.
No, I
This
just
is
like
this is
these-
not Apple. It's
I'm just
non-Apple.
Oh yeah.
I love those speakers. Though. Those are great.
Exactly. I just need to show them off.
Yeah.
And now my microphone webcam holder, which consisted of a stack of floppies, fell to the floor. So excuse me.
I mean, I had my. I don't know how I did so long without it. A backlit keyboard.
If I had to,
I really cannot go
if
without this
I
anymore.
went with one of those, Jay, I would get a backlit one because I don't like the Apple one because it's not backlit. But you're right, the backlit.
Well, I like the Apple form factor. I like the thin aluminum and
Yeah.
all that. That's why I went with this company. They make the Apple keyboard replicas basically.
I'll
with
stick
backlight.
with this.
Yeah, that's basically this keyboard, but with
Yeah.
backlight.
Yeah,
So-
I try one of those. I like the
I
little
would-
chiclet
absolutely.
keyboard too. This little guy. But
And I'm
not the
sitting
one with
here
the-
until 5-6 a.m. because I'm working with Bruce now, and I need, I can't be sitting here in the dark.
Well, Jay's on Australian time now, right?
Yeah,
Pretty
I took
close.
him to U.S. time.
Anybody else? Anybody here got anything else they want to share that they like that's a non-Apple that complements their Mac?
I
Well, we
have
should
this
probably
Steel
go
Series
over the
headset that
comments a
apparently Skype does not like.
Ah,
It sounds fine on Discord, I'm told, but on here it apparently doesn't
that's
sound
because
very
it's a
good,
Microsoft product, probably. You know,
So. No, it's Steel Series. I don't think they own that. Do they?
Microsoft owns Skype.
Oh well, there you,
You
go.
didn't know? You didn't know that?
No, I know that. I thought you were talking.
Oh
about
no.
hardware.
All right, guys. So let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, and this one actually is one that a lot of people are probably doing right now. Is everybody's probably, a lot of us are probably in quarantine. I am actually not. I'm still working, but
Same here.
TikTok.
Yeah.
All right.
a lot of people like Steve I know is in quarantine.
Well, all right, hold on.
self-imposed quarantine.
Yes, if you say we're all in quarantine, it sounds
He's
like we're
on
all sick.
vacation. He's
No.
not in quarantine.
I've been working my ass off. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
You notice the amount
whatever.
of the zero amount of live streams I've been doing. Anyway, yeah, let's get let's get it straight. We're not all diseased.
No,
and
no,
sick
we're not.
Yet, to our knowledge.
Yeah.
None of us,
Yeah.
as we know right now, unless you've been tested, has COVID-19.
Excuse
Yeah.
me.
So okay, let's call it isolation.
Okay.
Macintosh.
There we
There
go.
we
Okay.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll be politically correct and say isolation. Okay. So what?
It's not politically
Yeah.
correct. It's just
So-
correct. We're not.
So what we're asking you guys out there is, what are some good things to do while isolated? It says quarantine on my notes, but I'll say isolated.
And I'll start it off because I have to leave the room for a minute. I have
Lindsay, you're
been
drunk.
organizing and labeling everything. Like, everything I could get my hands on is labeled, sorted, categorized in a spreadsheet. I even labeled.
I was just getting
And
ready
it
to say,
was-
did you label meatball?
Yes, and it was just for fun at first, but after 2 hours, it was still on there, so I just left it.
Cat 5
But-
cat.
Yeah, I've been cleaning and organizing like crazy, and I work from home, so I can still work. So I do that as well. And then at night, if I'm not on Discord or watching a movie, I just grab a box, empty it out on my floor, and just start organizing and labeling. And it's a lot of fun. I'm having a blast with this isolation stuff.
Yep.
What label maker do you have?
It's a Brother. Wipe the dust off so I can
It's
read the
like
model number
P-touch?
QL.
Is it like a P-touch?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Takes these big spools of.
Oh, you got the way.
Good
Yeah,
lord.
that's way bigger than spools than what I have in
Good
mine.
stuff right there.
You got the industrial
So-
one.
I was going to say, that's an industrial version.
A lot of labels.
What's some other things you guys can think about doing here? I could think of one good one that we could do while we're all isolated, is we could all game a little bit more. We need to get back to doing some UT 2004 tournaments. That way,
I said that
I should
last
probably
week.
fix the
And me
server.
and Greg and Dana were the only one who were there.
Challenge.
oh, Justin got a good one here. He goes, binge watch Mac-Yak while packing my house. There, that is a good one.
there you
There we go.
There we go.
Man,
I had to mention that. I just saw it.
Make that man a top
Yeah.
fan.
Justin, I'm surprised you're not binge watching me too.
Why would they want to watch
Well,
you?
priorities,
is-
Rudy. Priorities.
Priorities.
shameless
Only
self
takes so much
Hey,
blood.
Oh,
we haven't got
Exactly. Shameless
we haven't got to
self-promotion.
that topic yet.
not that section. Yeah.
I saw a little article that was saying that Netflix have got something in place where you can sit and watch, a show on TV at the same time as like your friends are watching it, and with a little live chat there, so you can sit there and talk trash about, sort of the stance on
Is it built? Is it like a third party thing? Because I thought I heard it was a third party thing.
It is probably a third party thing, but they were using Netflix as the example.
It's a Google Chrome extension called Netflix Party. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
yeah, and so then you can just.
I thought
you
Facebook
can
already
all-
did something like that called watch parties.
Yeah.
I heard a good suggestion from a coworker. It's just an old fashioned thing. Puzzles. So I have a bunch of puzzles, at least 3 or 4 puzzles in a box. I don't think I've ever opened them. So you
I'm
could
doing
give me
puzzles every day. When I take a break, I go sit at the table and do a puzzle with my kid. I am really good at Spider-Man puzzles.
You know where all the pieces go.
I mean, I actually find it really fascinating because they're all the, people are, the celebrities are posting videos of themselves in isolation, sort of them being bored and stuff like that. I mean, I cannot ever see myself getting bored. I mean, I would never.
There's so much to
have
do,
a
yeah.
problem. Yeah, there's always so much to do.
It's the opposite. I'm overwhelmed with the things that I could be doing because
Yeah.
Too many choices.
Yeah.
is recapping, organizing things, backing up files. I think that's the big one. If you have some downtime, back up your system if it's not backed up.
Yeah.
Make sure you got a backup of everything. Make sure your backup works. Test your backup.
Or
plug in that.
or just organize your cable stuff, which I'm going to start
Backup of
doing.
your backup.
I'm going to
Yeah, make your backup.
I got to
organize your tools, zip tie
Yeah.
them.
I actually
Get inventory.
Yeah, I need to do that. I need to actually get this rat's nest underneath my desk in order. I mean, it's bad. But I'm thinking about buying some of those cable trays, that we sell at my store. That they're used for basically TVs and stuff, but they would work good for what I want to do it for, like cable runs and stuff. Let's see some of the other things we got in here. Making a collection inventory. That would take me
Yes.
about a total of 10 minutes. So
It would take me a few days, probably.
depending on how much information you put
That's
on
around the
the
clock.
inventory.
I was toying around with because I have these old handspring visors that have a barcode scanner on it. I'm like, oh, I could just print out these barcode labels with what each machine is and the specs and everything, and then go beep and then look it up, and then I'm like, how long it's going to take to actually set that all up?
Exactly.
Print them all out and affix the labels, something. Then the spec changes, or you take a piece of memory out, and it's like, all right, you have to reprint the label.
That's
Nothing.
why I always estimate the size of my collection because I can't keep track past that. video I
Actually,
get.
Steve, you would not have to change the label because all you would have to do is change the specs in your database.
That is true. That is true.
You know,
But
a lot of
That
people.
is actually part of my labeling and categorizing and all that. I put QR codes on everything that has the specs, the year. You can cram so much info in a QR code, and I put it all in there.
Yeah.
see,
you really
I
can.
could see doing that. The problem with my method, Greg, is what I was proposing
Yeah.
is the barcode scanner on this old PDA. I don't think it has any database functionality built in, so it basically reads like letters and numbers off of the code. And so I think it's a limited to like 11 characters or something like that. I'd have to sync that up with something fancier to do anything
I see what
worthwhile
you're
with
saying,
it.
yeah.
Me always trying to shoehorn old devices into a worthwhile cause these days.
Yeah.
I've actually considered taking a vintage Mac and using an old version of FileMaker on it to do an inventory type thing.
Ah, yes.
Something that's it's a little more elaborate than a spreadsheet. It's searchable. It's again, it's one of those things that
Well,
I want to get around to it, but maybe now I've got a chance. So
one of those neat things you could use if you can get a hold of them is one of the POS iPod Touches, point of sale ones, the old ones. You just download some apps to do it and have the scanner and stuff. I think that'd be pretty neat.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll upgrade my just bare bones Excel document.
So some other things. Let's see. Let me read the chat here. See if anybody else is doing anything.
We've been looking at the cookbooks that collect dust on our shelves and just tried new things. Just something to keep your mind off things. Rewatch old movies or something I don't think I have the patience to do is learn a language if you have some downtime. There are those free apps on the phone and stuff that help train you.
Get Rosetta Stone. There you go.
Well,
and of course there's repair. I mean, everybody has something that needs repair or reinstall or a recap.
Too many things.
It's a good time to do it.
That means a lot of streams from Steve and Bruce, right?
Non-stop.
I mean, I work from home, so the thing is that, like, if even if I'm in isolation, which I'm not, but even if I'm in isolation, I'll just be working anyway. But if I was looking for things to do, one of the things that I always love doing is looking around in the cupboard for an old computer that I haven't fired up for a long time, whip it out, see if it's, stick a new operating system on it, play an old game. I can lose a day just fiddling around with an old computer, just trying it with different specs or trying to max out the RAM or whatever. Just something that I haven't played with in a really long time, and just sort of pull it out and see if see if it's still going, see if it needs to go and get some repair done or something like that. Always things to do for a collector of old Macs.
So here's a big question I got to ask all you guys: who is actually being told to work from home now? So
Me.
Rocky, Steve. Well, Jay, you work from home already, so.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's been requested for at least to the end of the month, and it might be longer than that.
Yeah.
The building that we're in, they've actually started reducing the heating into the building. So we've been warned that if we want to go back and get something, to wear a jacket.
I guess they're trying to kill
I have the
either.
option to take vacation and sick days, but I'm not going to use them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
do my
some
thing.
options available to us, but if I could still do my work and get paid, and there's a need for me to do the work that I do, I can't just, all right, bye guys, it's not like that. So no, but I think they're trying to save costs because the building is ginormous, Mike. It's the multi-tenant building and 6 stories, so they're trying to save some cost, I believe, on lowering the amount of heating used just to keep the pipes from freezing, I guess.
Well, they got to keep some heat. Yeah, like you said. Well, I mean, the temperatures have actually, like right now, and Siri, no, I didn't want you. It's 66 degrees outside.
NSA is listening.
Yeah. Siri, well, I bring my watch up and I say something like right now. What can I help you with? Nothing. Shut up.
But when you want it, and you raise your thing up, it's not going to respond.
Exactly.
That's been my
Starla,
experience.
shut it.
So, but like I said, I think we need to start getting some more gaming going. We definitely need to
That's
get.
what everyone's saying in the chat. Reliving old games, even on a classic game console, or like Greg is saying, UT. Something competitive.
Because
The
guess
other
what?
thing is, of course,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say the other thing is, of course, the amount of like tutorial videos that are available, sort of whether it be ones just on YouTube or whether it's on services like lynda.com, that sort of thing, where you can pay a subscription and it's a great opportunity to learn something new, sort of mention learning a language, but maybe learning a programming language, learning a new piece of software. Stop. Yeah, Carl.
I tried that earlier.
You didn't
today.
try
Like,
hard
hey,
enough.
My developer is kind of busy. Let me learn some PHP. And 5 minutes later, I'm like, screw this.
But yeah, I mean, if take an opportunity for a bit of sort of growth of knowledge and stuff like that. I mean, it's a great time for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, learn to discharge your CRT, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's a
learn
good
to
point.
discharge
I mean,
it
so
with your
many
tongue.
people
That'll
already
be even
waste
quicker.
time on, watching Netflix. I mean, you do that all the time anyway. Do
Yeah.
something else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, do something creative, mess around, do something that you always tell yourself, "Oh, I don't have time to do this." Well, now you got some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing you can easily do while you're isolated or whatever is like this video.
Yeah. Or
Just click.
or you have 63 other episodes you can sit there and start binge watching, as Justin alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way we know you've watched the episode if you click that like button in every episode you
That's
watch.
right. Yep.
And leave a
Something I
comment.
did not too long ago. Well, I guess it was a couple years ago now. I was sick, and so I was basically quarantined, for lack of a better word, inside my own house. And I took an iMac G4 and collected all of my music from all of the sources where I had them on iPods. I had it on a hard drive here, a hard drive there, and I put everything onto that hard drive. I got a big, I think 500 gig hard drive, and put it in there. And I'm sorry, it's not an iMac G4, it's a Mac Mini G4. And I put everything into that, and now running iTunes home sharing, I can listen to music on any computer in the house, and it's great. I love it.
Oh, nice.
Fantastic.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's always a
something
good use for those machines.
Well, we were talking about that earlier in chat there, Dana, about using it, an old machine for stuff like that. I mean, I use my Mac Pro here as a Plex server because I leave it on all the time anyway. So this is basically my Plex server. But you can use an iMac. I don't think you can use an iMac G5 or a G5 for a Plex server. I'm not sure if they have Plex software for it. But you can.
Yeah,
They
might
do,
be.
I think.
For music and stuff, you can. Video is not going to be able to handle
Yeah.
it.
Especially the 265 codec. That's just
Well,
not going to fly.
here's the thing, though, Jay. Wouldn't it only matter on the client side if you were actually using it to stream to something else?
No, the server is where
Server
most
does
of the
the
load
work.
is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
I didn't either.
So, because I know sometimes, like on my iPad, because I use my iPad a lot to stream from my Plex server, and sometimes you can actually sync it up and you can actually download the whole movie or whatever onto your device and watch it off of your Plex server. So,
Yeah, but I tried that on my dad's iPad, and when you select the quality, the server starts crunching it and making it available for download. And I tried it on a quad even. It just choked.
well, I put it at highest quality anyway, so it worked fine for me.
Yeah. And it works off the CPU and not the GPU. But not that the G5 GPU would help much either. But yeah, it's a bit much. It's like you never used G5s for watching HD content because it wasn't out, but they also wouldn't support it. So it's kind of the same thing if you're trying to stream
I watch
HD content.
HD content on my G5 all the time.
I mean, if you're trying to stream it, is what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
if you're trying to stream
Yeah, I agree
HD
with
from
that.
the G5,
Yeah,
it has to crunch all
it's-
that.
Yeah, it's different if you're using like the Final Cut Pro HD version to churn through some HD footage from your camcorder that's not compressed.
Yeah. And one more thing I want to add, is especially relevant for me, is in this time of isolation, if it affects you, take some time to clean up your iPhoto library or duplicate files on
Yep.
your system and stuff like that. You'll spend a month. easy.
Or go through your email if you have what I have, 35,000 emails. I have
For your,
read.
if
And
you
go
had
for it.
35, if I had 35,100 or emails, I would basically just say delete all and start over.
Select all.
Because if you have that many, if you had them for that long, they're probably not relevant anymore.
It's
Yeah.
old news. Yeah.
I'm seeing a fair bit of
I have a
Windows
lot
chat in the chat at the moment.
Ugh.
What is
So-
Uninstall
Stop it.
Windows. That's something you can
And
do.
that's Mike here talking about it. So
I have a lot of deceased family members in my emails. I just never went through.
I
That would
I
be
have
something
an
that-
idea for
obviously,
someone like what Jay mentioned with the photo stuff. Now's a good time, especially if you're of age where your parents or whoever had these camcorders, any VHS camcorders that you may have had home videos on of you or family members. It's sort of getting to the age if those were recorded in the early 80s that those were kind of deteriorating. So
That's why I have this sitting here.
Yeah,
it's
okay.
like, what the hell is that doing? And so, yeah, so getting those transferred over digitally, you can either use a DV camcorder as like a bridge or, some sort of USB or FireWire adapter to do so. But highly suggest you just taking some time to either just organize them, because if you're like my family, we hardly ever labeled the tapes that we've recorded this stuff to, and make a little spreadsheet or something and make a DVD out of it, or just put on YouTube or whatever. But,
I've been working for the last few weeks on trying to get my mini DV to run on my computer. You can get it to start controlling, but won't record anything. It always stays at blue screen after a while.
I know exactly how to fix that, Gritty. We'll talk about that offline.
so
Because I was trying to do it in, what was it, iMovie 09, and it just wouldn't do it.
It's not the version of iMovie or Final Cut Pro. It's the OS. Apple did something to QuickTime that does not like
In
the
Leopard?
Oh, Leopard. It shouldn't.
Yeah,
shouldn't
I'm trying to
have
do
been
it through Leopard.
Well, then something else is borked up. But
Yeah.
There's your problem. You use Tiger, not Leopard.
here's your problem.
Yeah.
I might be able to try it in Tiger.
Yeah. So anybody can think of anything else we could be doing while we're isolated?
Write a letter. Be a pen pal. I don't know.
Clean your
No.
house.
That's
Yeah,
a good
I
one.
would
I was going to say,
Jay?
clean the house.
That's a good one,
No,
Rocky.
we don't have to do that.
I mean,
Well,
look,
if
you know,
you're
Or-
married or have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, then there's other stuff to do.
Or
I mean,
if you're in the United States right now,
Hey.
here's another good one. Do your taxes.
Oh, yeah.
It's been delayed days. We're good.
Yeah, I still need
I
to
gotta
do
do
that.
mine yet.
Yeah.
Mine have been done for a month.
So
Lucky.
I've
Brock
been,
says I have 175,000 emails.
Oh, that's nothing. Hold on.
Who said
Yeah.
that?
oh Lord, here we go. We're gonna use the measuring stick on emails.
What are we going to do? Get into an email
my-
match?
Mine's maxed out at 99,999. The iOS thing won't display.
What? You have a badge that says that much?
I have like a bunch of clients, a bunch of email accounts here. So it's at well, I'm not gonna show you all my notifications. You'll laugh at me, but yeah, there's a lot on there.
Do a screen. You're gonna have to do a screen capture and cut that one out for us to show us.
Yeah.
There's
You can't hardly. Holy crap! I didn't know it went
Wow.
that
Still
far.
can't read it.
yeah,
I
95.
95,000.
And 158 calls.
But he says he has 175,000.
Oh, all right. Then you can-
it
I
wins.
thought that this thing was. I think I turned the badge off, the notification off for my iCloud email, because I don't use that anymore, and that's been since like iTools. So that thing is like this. Oh, wait. Let me see if I can turn that notification on while you guys talk. I'll see if that number updates.
Oh dear.
Lord.
His phone is about to crash.
Kaboom!
See,
It's going to catch on fire. We're going to start seeing smoke and flames. The end of the world.
my wife would have anxiety looking at those that many emails on your badge because she
Enable badges.
she can't stand to see the badges anywheres on there. So I told her, one day, I said, you need to just turn them all off then.
197,656. There we go.
I can show mine.
Wow.
Wow.
Boy, I thought I was bad because I had 3 unread messages and 13 YouTube notifications.
Nah, I feel better.
Thank God I have Facebook turned off, or that would probably be in the hundreds.
Wow,
of thousands, 'cause I don't get on
2003.
Facebook that much.
Jay, you're like,
And this phone does not have the accounts for my website, else there would be many, many more digits.
it tells you
Oh.
that these guys don't care about email much.
Oh, this is how I organize my email. If it comes in and I read it, I read it. If I don't want to read it, I leave it as unread and I just forget about it.
Yeah.
One more
I
thing
don't
I wanted to.
I don't get my emails on my phone, so
What'd you say, Bruce?
I said isolation or no isolation. No one's going to do anything about these
But-
sorts of jobs. No one's going to
Okay.
touch them. They're just going to get left alone.
But we're talking about all these badges, but then we're going to miss the same thing as about Bruce's icon dock or his dock.
Oh my lord!
Yeah, look, I added a few.
Oh, you've added
too,
to
yeah.
it. Ah.
Yeah, a little bit than it was before. Yeah, I found a few of
Yeah.
the sort of the newer versions of some of the Adobe applications are rubbish, and so I have to keep the old ones there as well so they can launch those. So, yep, always getting that little bit bigger.
So when you look at your typical dock and you see the applications that are open, there's a little gray dot at the bottom under the icon. That's about how big the average icon is on
Yeah.
Bruce's dock.
It's just a dot.
I can still see the little dots underneath, so it's all right. I mean, I do have a fair bit of trouble. For me now, when I'm looking at them, I'm mainly just identifying them by color because the icons are so small.
All right. Do you
I have one more suggestion for stuff to do in isolation. Nobody is spending money right now. People are a little freaked out. You don't know what's going to come, what's going to
you'd be
happen.
surprised how much money people are spending right now.
So this is
On toilet
more
paper.
of a community thing, but start trading stuff. USPS is still working. FedEx, UPS is still working. If you have something that someone else wants and you want stuff, jump in trading groups and just start trading,
But
Yeah, just mail yourself the virus.
no.
You get
I
it
was
for
just getting ready to say,
No, you follow the advice Jay gave on the
yeah,
last show.
clean
Wipe
your
it down.
stuff before you send it out.
You don't even have to worry about that. But also, you have to think about there's one thing that a lot of people haven't considered about the virus. It only lives and survives outside the body for a certain period of time. You quarantine it for 24 hours, it's fine.
I've heard conflicting things on that. So.
It depends on the surface. It's anywhere between 24 hours and 24, and I think was like 72 hours, but it depends on the surface. So
Yeah,
if
anyway,
you're talking
we're
about
not
A
doctors,
tornado
we're
alarm
scientists.
going on. I'll be right back.
Oh,
if we're
shit.
talking about a like a cardboard box or something like that, it's not going to last long at all. So I wouldn't be too worried about mail.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it either. I mean, stuff like that.
Yeah, all the people touching your mail is not going to be
I'm
changed. So.
Yep.
I'm going to say in the U.S. you got better chance of getting something like anthrax in the mail anyway.
true.
So unfortunately, I'm not going to ever be quarantined because apparently I'm considered an essential service. I can't take my work home. I mean, I sure as hell can't carry a car up the stairs, so I'm pretty much screwed. I got to go to work. So I mean, it is what it is, I guess.
Yep.
Although
We'll
I might just say screw it and just drive to New Jersey this weekend for no reason whatsoever.
And knock on Steve's door.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, sorry, Mike. We're not home. No.
That would be
You're
my
bending
luck.
down to the basement window. I see you.
I see you.
I know where you live.
Yes, you do.
You don't know where I live.
No.
I have the advantage.
Oh,
You've never been.
You come over. I'm putting you to work. We're organizing crap.
It's starting to get real.
that's not good for Jay. Jay just told us the tornado alarms are going off. He says if he suddenly vanish, you know why.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just pulled up a radar over his neck of the woods, and there's a couple of big ones right there. So,
Wow.
Where do you see that radar image?
Yeah. All right, guys.
weather.com.
So, Steve, do you have anything for your archive adventures, or should we just?
Yeah.
All right.
So just briefly, I got a new Mac and one I did not have before. I might have talked a little bit about the show. I talked about it a little bit on the show last week. But this was a digital audio Power Macintosh G4. What's nice about it has a gigabit Ethernet built in, and it has a little Apple Pro speaker port on it. the hard drive still worked kind of, and then it started clicking. But it was surprisingly fast. I think it only had half a gig of memory in there, but it was running Tiger. It was pretty speedy. I think the CD burner drive with it, I had to take out and I just dusted it off a little bit internally with some compressed air. It's working fine. I just need to put a new hard disk in it, and I was going to play some UT on it and play around with some graphics cards with it. But I only had the AGP models and the Quicksilver ones. I never had the digital audio ones. I think I have a gigabit Ethernet and a dual one that's still the graphite. So it just another nice little gift my recycler friend gave me. He said, "You're gonna get scrapped. You want it?" I said, "Okay." Thing's covered in dust. I gotta take it outside.
Is it
when I
caked?
have some warm weather. It's caked and dust it out. So yeah, that's my little bit of archiving.
Okay. All right, guys. So I think we're getting close to the end here, so we'll go ahead and do the old shameless self-promotion here. I'll start off since I don't have much going on right now. I did do a live I think it was about a week ago maybe, where I was looking at a friend of mine's MacBook Pro, and he's basically now, I'm lucky, he is going to actually give me the stuff for parts now. So I'm actually going to inherit this MacBook Pro because he's going to go ahead and just buy a new one. So, which means I will have to go and buy a new power cord, because that power cord that he gave me was
messed
it
up.
still works, so surprisingly it still
Wow.
Yeah,
works.
just some electrical tape, some heat shrink. You're fine.
Dude, there's knots in that cable. I don't even want to untie the knots because it might stop working.
Send it to me. I'll fix it.
So, but anyways, that's going to be my newest project. I'm going to try to fix that connector and the cable. I may have to do some, bodge wires in it and stuff like that, but we'll figure out how that goes. But that's going to be my next project. But it is a 2015 MacBook Pro, and it does have the delamination on the screen, so I probably will need to get a new screen for that one of these days. So, but the thing is in really good shape. So that's probably what's going to be my next project. So we'll just go zigzag here. We'll go Grudy, you're next. What do you got going on?
Oh, got a ton going on. I finally got all the parts in for my Exarb RAID, so I can make the 14 terabyte RAID for the heck of it. Be running it all in RAID 0 for one video, and then converting the two sides to like RAID 5 or something. But that should be fun. And then I've got just a whole bunch of other fun goodies coming up. But the Exarb, I think, is going to be my next video.
I don't think you can actually run those as separate.
You can't.
I mean, not separate, but as together, one.
Together, yes, you can. What you have to do is you do a software RAID on the system controlling it and combine them.
All right.
I just tested it
Okay,
yesterday.
Bruce, you're up next.
Not a whole lot on the horizon at the moment. I think I mentioned last time I'm going to be doing a video on a teardown and recapping of a Macintosh Portable. That is still coming. I'm hoping to get onto that this weekend. That's probably the main thing that I'm going to be adding. I will be continuing the occasional stream of doing repairs and recapping. So people obviously welcome to just sort of jump on any time I'm doing that. I always try and sort of answer as many questions as possible if people sort of want to know about the way I do things or the tools I use or any of the processes that I follow. So, just sort of look out for that if you like watching sort of a bald old man play with old computers. I'm your man.
I think that's our
Yeah.
demographic. So that's good.
So we'll go to the next bald old man, Steve.
Oh, thanks. I was recapping an LC2 that didn't quite work out, so I'm gonna keep trying on that. And I have a Quadra 605 that I need to recap. It works now, so if I recap it and if it doesn't work, that's a problem. So I have more of that stuff to do. I did dust off some old Final Cut Pro projects, so since I'm isolated, I've been tinkering around with my clone video and some things, so hopefully some progress will be made. But yeah, that's me.
Jay, what do you got going on?
It just told me the storm has weakened, and now there go the alarms again. So if I suddenly fly away, a tornado got me. I have a few projects that I need to do, but because of the amount of work I have to do, can't get to for a while until business returns to normal. I spend a lot of time on Discord right now, just hanging out. We got little contests going on with famous people impressions, and Bruce, Dana, and Steve, they all play their part.
Oh boy.
Yeah, look at this bump.
Voice.
Yeah.
Voice.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Steve
seems to
doesn't
be
mean Arnold
playing.
Schwarzenegger.
Oh, don't worry, we're gonna turn this thing around.
Apart from that, just business as usual, repairing boards, cleaning up, labeling, organizing, and maybe once all that's done, some YouTube videos.
Yep. How about you, Rocky? What do you got going on?
Well, maybe I'll finally actually get switched over to my newer Mac Pro. Still on the old one. My daughter's been bugging the crud out of me, especially now that she's confined to home. So
He's got a 4,1.
Other than that, I'm going to be cleaning, and
It's a 4. Good.
and it's already flashed to 5,1 and everything. So.
And I sent him
just
I
need to
sent him
swap to it.
CPUs for it too.
Oh, they work
Which
great.
one?
Yeah.
Why not? They're the 2.8s. Well, do they run it?
Yeah.
No, I think they're 2.4s, but they run it
Yeah.
too.
It's the 56 or what is it? The 58s,
6 cores.
55s, I think, or something like that. I can't remember.
Something
Yeah.
like that. They're the 6 core each, 12
Yeah.
thread. So
Better than what you had. You only had
Just need to
quad
swap.
cores in each one, right? I think before. So now you have 6 in each one. So
Yep.
instead of 8 cores, you have 12. 24 threads.
yep.
It's nice seeing that 24 threads when you open up the activity monitor, isn't it?
I bet it is.
Mike, what do you got going on?
I just
Well, I got my tripod out of the truck today for the first time since I moved. So I think I might make a video and see how badly I can totally destroy my Mac Pro's CPU card
Nice.
by putting a 3.06 gigahertz 6-core Xeon on it.
So are we ever
Nice.
going to see a part 2 to that one video?
Which one? The one with the
Yeah.
PowerBook?
Yeah.
I don't have any place to work, dude. I literally have no place. I have a table that's like
Well, there.
about the size of my MacBook
Well, look at-
Pro.
Then what-
That's
Look
what
at the
I got to work
videos
with.
Grudy did on his kitchen floor back then.
Yeah. That
Mike
ain't
has
no more.
standards.
42 years old. I could barely get up out of my chair. Do you want me to get down on the damn kitchen floor? Are you
Won't be able to get up.
freaking insane?
I'm older.
I am working. I am slowly working on. I've talked to Steve about it, but I'm slowly working on maybe getting my business back into a normal format where I actually have a place where people can go. I have a place where I can work. So there's something really tiny, microscopic. So, but yes, I do plan on getting that video done eventually. Of course, I have to find the PowerBook at this point. It's buried in my storage shed somewhere.
It's behind the
It's
cash.
probably
register.
more broke than what you started out with. huh?
No. Actually, there's a cash register behind the cash register, and then there's an antique fan on top of the cash register. I think there's a TiVo under the cash register. It's in. I know about where it is. It's just if I get quarantined and I'm not allowed to work, the first thing I'm going to do is go down to my shed and clean the hell
Yeah.
out. Because it just kind of got all thrown in there because of the timetable we had. So
Yeah.
I work on it
Yeah.
slowly.
And last but not least, our guest Dana. You want to got any shameless self promotion you want to throw out there?
Not that I can think of. I still have. I'm still debating putting together that video where I completely screwed up my Mac Pro, but I made
Oh,
it.
we want to see that.
Quarantine.
Oh yeah.
Jay,
Oh
The
yeah.
unfortunate part is that I don't have the footage of actually with the pliers across the board.
You
so
could do a
You got
a
me.
reenactment.
Yeah, do a
reenactment. Yeah.
reenactment. Just make sure you do a good scratch across it.
I'm going to clean this board. And I got
Do it.
do it.
now.
Do it.
No, but we have pictures to fill that blank, and I really want that video out there because it'll make me
There
look
are
like
pictures,
Like,
yes.
like a
Just like
Yeah.
a slow motion
What
shot of
you
you
need to
going.
do- Yeah, you need to do the black and white reenactment like they do on the major
Yeah,
TV
absolutely.
commercials, like very over dramatic, and
The old,
we
VH1
can work together on.
behind the scenes, whatever. What was it? What was the old VH1 show?
Yeah, yeah.
Behind the camera or something. I don't, But
And then just a
yeah,
shot
I
of
thought about putting that together. Maybe here, if depending on how long this whole thing goes on, I still have to go to work every day. And by the way, it's weird. I go outside in the morning starting Monday, and I'm like, something's not right. And I'm looking up and down the street, and it's just like, okay, everybody who's usually gone before me is still here, and it's been that way every day this week. So it's very odd, but I still have to go. So my free time isn't quite as
free.
available. I don't have quite as much free time.
Same
yet.
here, but
But-
yeah. All right. So,
I do want to get some stuff done with my collection, though. That does sound like a good idea.
all right. So we've
So-
come to the end of our show tonight, guys. Appreciate Dana for coming on tonight, being it's his birthday. So, want to wish him a happy birthday again.
Happy
Before we
birthday
go,
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, Dana. Happy
there we
birthday
go.
to
We
you.
got it sung out. All right.
Sing it better.
Yeah.
yes.
All right, guys. So,
Have a lousy birthday.
if you want to come and join us later on, we do hang out on Discord every now and then. I know Jay has said he's been doing a lot more lately. The Discord link is up there and available for you guys to go in there. If you're a new visitor, you're only going to see one channel. Make sure you read what's in that channel, but because you won't be able to do anything unless you follow instructions in that particular piece of text that Jay, most graciously supplied for us. So make sure you read that. Also, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give us a thumbs down. Doesn't matter.
No, even if you don't like it,
There
give
you
it
go.
a thumbs up.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell and click on for all notifications. We only give you one notification a week, and that's during this live stream every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
if you're lucky.
So, guys, if you know some friends out there that might like this, go ahead and invite them over. And like Justin said earlier, and I'm going to mention him again, binge watch us while you're isolated. That would be a good thing to do, so there you go. All right, guys, so it's been fun tonight. I am starving. I want to go get something to eat. So you guys take care, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.
Get lost.
See ya. Stay safe.
Follow us on Twitter.